Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today we are getting into the gray. We decided to read along with all the other Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale books that are out there. We've really liked those. So today we're reading. We're dipping our toe into the Marvel universe that they kind of started writing, which is like based on just based on colors. I don't know why they pick colors, but it works. So this one is called Hulk Gray, and it's kind of like an origin story that possibly got missed or whatever in the original telling of Hulk. I don't know. I haven't read the original Hulk stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that. I read some of the afterwards, and I saw that they did take like some like panel for panel things. So
From the original thing. Yeah, and so this, I guess, is like a retelling, a modern retelling, a modern-ish retelling of the first issue of Hulk.
very much, and it's very much along the lines of like Frankenstein's monster of mice and men, like very like
Yes, there's definitely rabbits getting murdered in this, for sure. Yeah, and it's called Hulk Gray because if you don't know, also it's we had to figure this out. It's called Hulk Gray, Gray, and I was like, wait, I've never seen Gray spelled like that.
yeah.
Isn't it Grey? And I was very confused for like the whole time we were doing it. And I was like, is it Gray? Like, is it a last name or something that's going to come up in this book? And then it was just like, no, he's Gray. And I was like, we had to look it up because basically either way is correct for the color. I didn't know that.
Well, either way is, but I'm going to go one step further to say that I learned in American primary school, right?
Yeah.
That it was Grey.
Yeah. But apparently the stupid American way is Gray.
Yeah, but Gray is apparently the American way with an A.
Yeah.
And the EY is the British way. So I guess, but I don't know. I've never in my entire life until the cover of this book seen Gray, Gray.
It was weird. It was freaking me out. I was like, I don't understand why they called it that. So anyway, this is called Hulk Gray, and the other reason why it's gray is because there was a color error on the original first issue of The Incredible Hulk where his skin turned gray, or was gray in the issue instead of green, and then going forward from issue 2 on, he's green. So it was just a color problem, but it ended up they're tying it like, oh, this was like when he was gray, he wasn't fully formed, and then when he becomes green, he's like fully formed or whatever. So this is kind of like a retelling of the first issue and explaining possibly why he is green instead of gray. So, So, and like we said, it's written by Jeff Loeb and the art is by Tim Sale. Once again, beautifully drawn by Tim Sale. I just want to have all of his art like in my house.
Especially after this is like, man, this is like my favorite look of the Hulk ever. I think he's so unique and cool, like that. Yeah. The chapter 1 when you feel like that first issue
page open. Yeah,
it's like the coolest look of Hulk I have ever seen. I love it.
Yeah, it looks great. Now, I mean, obviously we are. I mean, everybody's got their own style.
Yeah.
Some people don't like Tim Sale. Those people are wrong, but they have their opinion. I mean, Tim Sale to me is like another version of Mignola. Like literally, he spots blacks all over the place. Mm-hmm. Also, he changes it up. I will say this: Mignola doesn't really change up his style, or like not his style, but his the way it's portrayed, like colored and stuff. Tim Sale has been colored many different ways, including this one. This one, his blacks are a little bit less dark, and like I don't know, it looks more watercolory in this one than it did in like say the Batman.
Long Halloween,
the Batman Long Halloween. Black is fucking. It's a void. There's there is nothing in that black. And in this one, you could definitely see like it's either watercolor or different paints or something. I don't know what he did, but it is. I mean, he just has so many different looks that his art can have because the coloring and stuff is different. And then the other thing that's cool about this one is you get to see, because the beginning of it is in black and white, you get to see his black and white art, which is fucking awesome. Like, you never get to see black and white art in comics generally, unless it's like a cheaper comic or
specific, like what's the Frank Miller, the Sin City.
Like Sin City, yeah, it's specifically like that.
Made that way.
And this is once again made that way, but I mean, it looks fucking awesome. Like,
yeah.
So we start off with two guys in a building. It's Bruce Banner and his therapist
slash friend
named Leonard. I don't know what his last name is, but or Leonard.
Leonard, yeah, Leonard.
That's
the British way to say it, sir.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. It's spelled like that. So yeah, Leonard.
Samson.
Funny.
It's Samson.
Oh yeah, Leonard Samson. That's right. Samsonite. Yeah, Leonard Samson, that's right. So he's talking to his therapist, Leonard Samson, who I guess he called and was like, I need to set up an appointment tonight. I got to talk about some shit or whatever. So that is the kind of like narrative device they use to tell this story. Is he's going back, Banner is, and telling his therapist what happened then and like maybe what his issue is with what happened.
Yeah.
And so.
And one thing I will say is like that's the main narrative structure, and it's really cool because they don't really come back to show them talking much.
No,
but
they just talk over it.
Yeah, you'll see their colored, their bubbles will be colored specifically when they're talking over him retelling his story, and I really liked that. I thought it was nice. It was
yeah, and the other thing is this is pretty far in the future because, Banner already has like he's got a ring in his hand. I'm assuming that's like when after so this is after him and Betty were married or whatever, and Betty's dead. I'm assuming.
That's what it seems like.
The way that he's talking about it, and so this is pretty far from the time that the story that they're going to tell, and or the story that Banner's going to tell, and it's very cool when he gets kind of like pushed a little bit in the therapist or by the therapist, and and Banner just turns and goes, I wouldn't take that tone with me. And then his eyes, everything's black and white except his eyes. They turn green like his pupils. And then his therapist is like, oh, I'm so scared, Bruce. He's like, you aren't afraid, Leonard? Like, if I was in your shoes, I would be. And then all of a sudden you see his arm kind of turn green a little bit. And so those are actually green in this black and white world. It was very cool.
It's really cool.
It's like spotting color just in this. It was very cool. But basically, we're going back and we're telling the story about it mainly consists around four people, which is Bruce Banner, General Ross, who's Betty's dad, Betty, who is the love interest of Banner, and Rick, who's some dumb kid, I guess, that I don't know if he knew him beforehand or...
I think he's a kid. I think he's in the military. Like
I don't think he is.
I think he is. I think he's a young recruit. Like he's like a private, fresh in the military.
Really? Okay. I thought he was just like some idiot that was.
I think because Ross says something later about like they don't, that's why these punk kids are so like they need to be trained, until they're
okay, I got you.
obedient or something like that.
Okay, well, yeah. So basically, you start off and the Hulk has already been. He's like actually just right now getting hit with a gamma bomb. So like the setup to this is Rick. Who was the kid, the private, I guess. He had gone out onto the bomb site for some reason, I guess to get a better look or something. I don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know why he's there, but he's there.
But Banner saw that and was like, oh my God, I got to save him. And I'm sure in the 60s comic, they're just like, we just need him to get the fuck out to this bomb site. Why would he go out there? To save somebody. Okay. But this is like kind of deconstructing that and like, why would he go out there? And, what's the point and everything? So they're like giving it a bunch of meaning that it didn't probably have in the original comic or whatever. Yeah. So, but he goes out there and he gets hit by the gamma radiation and he instantly, turns into the Hulk and everybody sees. Like, well, we cut to the room, the what do we call it? Like the danger room,
the danger control room.
There you go. Where they're overseeing this test bomb, and General Ross is like, "What happened? Why was Banner out there and everything?" And he's like, "Fucking idiot!" Basically, like, we need that scientist. He's an asset to the government. Like not caring really about him as a person or anything. Just as an asset to the government.
Yeah, he's important. He's smart, and we need him for government scientist stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then for some reason, and this was like the kind of the most unbelievable thing in this book, is Betty Ross is able to, who's his daughter, is able to walk in and out of fucking like high security area, just like, I don't know, just willy nilly, no badge or anything.
And I know that later, like, she is also a scientist, but they don't really, in this comic, they don't really point that out. She's just Ross's daughter.
Ross's daughter. So, and she looks like Jackie O or whatever, or Jackie Kennedy, So like she's walking around and almost exactly what he wore or she wore when he like died or whatever.
Yeah, that like pink dress and little pink hat.
Yeah, and she's like, "Where's Banner?" He's like, he's on lunch break or whatever. Like, let's go talk about this outside. Like, he doesn't want to tell her what's going on, but also he doesn't know that they were like an item secretly.
Yeah,
and so she doesn't really want to tell him, and no one really wants to tell him because he's a fucking asshole. So
yeah,
I could see why they kept that hidden. But I should say, okay, I guess I was wrong. He doesn't Hulk out right away. He gets saved by Rick, actually, and then he brings him to a doctor around, like, that he found in town.
Yeah.
He takes him, I don't know how he drags him to the town.
Yeah, there's, I guess, the town that's near the military bases.
That's near the bomb site?
Yeah.
So, like, 100 miles away.
Yeah, something.
So, yeah, I don't know how that makes sense, but maybe it's the military town. Like, Chernobyl was a nuclear facility, and then there's a town 10 miles from there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like that. I don't know. It's the 50s. Maybe they didn't give a fuck. Maybe they're like, hey, there's Las Vegas, and here's the bomb site right next to Las Vegas. So you can get a really good view from your apartment.
You guys can see it from the strip.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, he takes him to a doctor, and as he's at the doctor's, he starts to kind of get mad, obviously, because he's mad at Rick. He's like, why the fuck would you do that, Rick? You're talking about, and Rick's like, oh man, it's just my life that's ruined or whatever. And he's like, no, it's not. We just got a super high dose of radiation. And while we don't see it right now, we're going to fucking die in probably like a week or whatever. If he's talking about real radiation, he's a scientist. He's like, I ain't puking yet.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to be puking tomorrow or whatever, so. And
on top of that, the military is going to be like, why were you out there? And there's going to be all these like inquiries and hearings and like literally now, like, I'm going to die and have to like explain all of
my
this.
My last days are going to be like on trial for fucking, being a traitor or something because you're out there for no reason. So yeah, he's just pissed off. And as he's getting pissed off, you won't like him when he's angry. He gets angry and he turns into the Gray Hulk right in front of fucking Rick's face. And he's like, what the hell? Rick's like, dude, what are you? And yeah, we get pretty awesome fucking Hulk, full pages. Man, would you like to have that page on your wall? Just full Hulk.
Yes.
Just a full Hulk. Nothing else on the page. Staring down at you like he's literally about to murder you. It's pretty awesome.
And I did like so the Hulk definitely talks Hulk-ish, but he's still like, it's cool because like he is another character. He is his own personality within the same person.
I appreciated that. I was like, at first I was like, why would he have like already everything kind of formed? But it's kind of cool that he's birthed with already his own personality, his own identity. Because right away he says, dude, what are you? And Hulk answers, the strongest there is. So like, he's a little happy with him. He's proud of himself. He knows what he is. He knows he's fucking badass. So yeah, it's like, it's almost, I don't know. It's like Banner's id or something, but like, even not Banner because he hates Banner. Hulk hate Banner. So he does talk in that kind of like broken language. He's not like Smart Hulk or anything in this.
Yeah.
But he definitely has his own personality and thoughts and everything. So, but the main thing is he's just mad about the army. We don't know why really. He doesn't get attacked by the army, so he's just like, Hulk hate army bad, And he's like, I just want to go away is basically what he's trying to do. Get away from the army. So he jumps very far, kind of like Superman or something. Actually, this scene was in like the Ang Lee movie. Where he like jumps.
Where he just jumps
those
miles, it seems.
Yeah, and so he jumps like super far, and he just happens to land on the street where a military truck's driving, and they just basically run into him. And it was pretty cool. I love this full page spread or like double spread where it's like their car just crushes. I don't know. I mean, a Jeep from the 40s or 50s or whatever probably wasn't made of the aluminum and stuff that we have now.
Yeah.
But this looks like it crumples like a modern car. Like it just smashes into him. So
all the guys go flying at
it. Yeah, everybody goes flying. There's 3 guys. They automatically start shooting because they're like, "What the fuck? It's a monster, right?" So they go off and try to take him down, but it does not do anything. They even shoot him with like a rocket launcher and everything, and he just jumps away. Then. He ends up, I guess, thinking about Betty. I'm not exactly sure why he thinks about Betty.
No, but this is that thing. This is that moment I think that Banner realized, like, the first, like, even though they're within the same thing, they share like a lot of the same thoughts, obviously, and that thing,
motivations.
Yeah,
I think that's why I said it's like his id. It's like his deep down repressed desires, his deep down thoughts about like Ross or whatever are what is coming out in Hulk.
Definitely
in this one. It's not. Because he does know who Betty is. He just doesn't know necessarily why he wants Betty.
Yeah.
But he's just like, Betty, Hulk loved Betty.
Exactly, because he said that both him and Hulk, I guess, have that thought of the same moment of like, Betty, like we've been dealing with this and like we forgot about Betty. And
right.
So Hulk like jumps to like, I guess, Betty's place basically.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Ross, has been talking to Betty and being like, Banner's probably gone now. We found like there was a hospital in town where apparently Banner was seen or someone that looked like Banner, but some monster ran through it and tore up the building. So now he's definitely dead.
Yeah.
So don't worry about Banner, but just lock your doors because apparently there's a monster loose or whatever. That's like, and then he leaves. He's like, there's a monster. Just
stay here.
Lock the door. I'm sure a door will stop the monster. And so. Then Hulk, like you said, jumps to where Betty's house is, and he's looking through the window. And then, that's like the first issue ends with him being like, Betty. Just looking. I wouldn't say he's peeping. He just showed up and was seeing through the window. So.
Yeah, he just happens to see her through the window.
And so it starts right. I thought this was funny. It starts right at that moment, again, where he's at the door looking through the peephole. And somehow the peephole is like, I don't know if this was like a 50s peephole or something.
Just the one where you...
There's literally a fucking quarter or an inch and a half hole in the door that apparently you just...
Yeah, I've seen those. It's just like a little latch basically, and like people open up the...
Oh, okay.
Think of like the door in the Wizard of Oz, but just enough big enough for your eye to look out.
So this is before glass technology or something?
Yeah, the reverse, the glass.
In ye old 1500s or something, they had these peepholes. But yeah, so... he's looking through this peephole and sees her, and he's knocking. It's just funny because the page is just him leaning over like really far to peek into the door, and she's like, "Who is it?" Like Hulk here, or whatever. Like, do you need Avon or whatever?
Hulk with Avon calling.
Yeah, exactly. So she opens the door, and he's like, Betty, and she's like, "What the?" This was the only thing I was like, "Look, Betty taking this pretty well."
She does take you don't know what a monster.
Yeah, you see a monster for the first time. You've never seen one before, and he's just like, "Betty," and you're like, "What?" You're not screaming or anything. She's like, "You can speak."
Yeah,
is the first thing she says.
She's not your normal like what you would think like a 50s movie or housewife like like right away. She's
not
like
hysterical or whatever.
Yeah.
So, she's like, "What kind of thing are you?" He's like, "Nothing, Hulk," which I thought was funny because, maybe because the Fantastic Four and stuff has already been around in the Marvel Universe, like, it's not crazy to see a monster. I'm assuming maybe that's the case. And she wouldn't freak out because she's like, Galactus came before. Like, we've all seen things, so what is this thing? And it wasn't like attacking her; it was just staring at her. And so, basically, she thinks that he's killed Banner because she heard the
monster.
Yeah, so she's like, "What have you done with Banner?" And he's like, "Hulk hate Banner." And then she passes out, I guess, because she's like so upset that she thinks he killed Bruce, who was her, secret boyfriend or whatever. So, he kind of picks her up. And right away, there's already like guns on him. I guess people saw that he broke in and are ready to shoot him. this is funny. I was like, were there lasers in the 40s or 50s?
Yeah.
There's lasers pointing at him. I was like, I don't know if that's.
But no glass eye hole.
Yeah, or anything. There's no. I mean, I don't even see a laser on the guns. But yeah, like I'd never seen a laser in the 50s, so that's interesting. But either way, it's General Ross is there, and he's like, "Let go of my daughter," and Hulk just staring at him, holding her, and he knows that if he shoots Hulk, the bullets could bounce off of him and essentially, hit Betty and kill her. So he doesn't want to shoot. So then it was very cool. Hulk does his. I don't remember this. This is a normal move for Hulk. He doesn't really do stuff like this in the new comics and the newer stuff. But he does like a move, which is cool. Like, I mean, they used to do this all the time in like X-Men and shit. Yeah. Where like Colossus, let's do that, like whatever it's called, the speedball attack where I grab Wolverine and throw him at people. That's like a thing that used to happen in comics.
Oh yeah.
Or like, like this, where Hulk literally slams his foot down and it's like poof, and like sends like a shockwave through all the people. Yeah. So it's kind of like they should do that more. They should have like more things. It's more fun for kids too because you got things you can do.
You get like power moves.
Yeah, when you're playing. It's fun, because I remember being like, "That's so cool." When Colossus picks Wolverine up and throws him and shit, and he kills a Sentinel or whatever. It's like,
they did that they did do that in the one X-Men movie, but
yes, but they reference it.
Yeah,
but they don't
exactly.
do it in the comics now, which I'm like, God.
Yeah,
but yeah, so Hulk, picks her up, takes her. He's just like, leave Hulk alone, Ross, bad man, and we don't really know why. He thinks that he's a bad man or whatever. He just wants to be left alone. And then he jumps away without her. He lets her go or whatever. And then Ross is like, "You touched my little girl." Like, and so Ross is just, Ross is just like, I don't know what this monster is or why it's here,
but I'm gonna get him now.
He touched my little girl. And so, he's going after him forever now. Now he just hates that fucking thing. And so, then like she's recovering and he's talking to himself in her room just about like how much she's like the wife, his wife was. I think she's dead now.
Yeah.
And this is funny. He's like, just take some of your mom's old Thorazine. Just a little
you'll be fine.
Tranquilizer. And she passes out or whatever. But yeah, it's just weird. I thought this was fun. He doesn't really say anything about loving her. He just talks about, she's like the mom and like just about her in general. Like she'll need rest, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
But yeah, he never says like I love her or anything.
No, it doesn't sound. It just sounds like he's saying like she's someone in my life who I kind of value, sort of. You know, like I have strong feelings for some reason, and I can't say words that mean I love you or whatever. So, but yeah, it says one of the things I like is Banner says, "I'll never understand how a woman with so much heart could come from a home that had none to give." So they definitely show like Ross he was a dad, but he didn't like show any affection or anything. And so how could Betty, who was actually hearing all that, she wasn't asleep, she was I guess pretending to be asleep or something, or she just woke up later when he like switched off some of like at the very end of his speech or whatever, when he switched out the light. So but yeah, so then Hulk wakes up, or not Hulk, Banner wakes up, and he's Banner again. He's like, what the fuck? And he's having like, it's like he drank 10 bottles of vodka. He's like hangover basically for what the fuck happened. And they're like, Rick found him. He's like, how'd you find me? And Rick's like, he turns around and there's just a field of broken cars and helicopters and shit like leading to this valley in the middle of the desert where Banner wakes up. And it's funny because Banner's just like strewn like back with a rock in the middle of his back and stuff, just like not a fun place to
not comfortable at all for a human.
Yeah, and so Banner's like, okay, well, I guess we got to do something. I know a place we could keep the Hulk because this thing can't get out. Like, I don't want this thing to be there, or I don't want this thing, going anywhere. I know where they kept all the nuclear waste from, the testing of the gamma bombs and stuff. So it's inside this mountain where they dug deep, and he's like, they didn't he's like, I never thought they dug deep enough for what they threw in there or whatever. But he's like, you know what? This door is like 20 feet thick or whatever of steel, and like it just just it's a desperate move to lock him in there, and I guess it's like I don't know if it's like he thinks he's gonna die in there, or he's just gonna trap him until they can figure out what to do with him.
It seemed like it because he was like, "Don't open the door unless you are talking to me."
Right? Yeah. So it's like maybe I don't know what the plan was necessarily, but it was just like, don't open the door unless it's me. So like a human me. So he locks him in there, and then right away,
the Hulk comes out. He is pissed.
You just hear like, "Let Hulk out," and you just hear thump, thump, and he's like, "Doc, Banner, you gotta listen to me." And then he's like, "You gotta calm down. I can't." And then I don't know if does he actually break the door, or is it just like, because I don't know. It just seemed like he was stuck in there forever, and then it like that's the end of this issue where he's just stuck in hitting the wall, and then he somehow gets out. That's why I'm like, I don't know exactly how he gets out.
Yeah, he got out though.
But he gets out, and apparently Rick, in the meantime, because later on we find out he gets picked up by the military. So I'm assuming Hulk is stuck in there, and the military finds Rick. Maybe they set off an alarm or something in there, and they just take Rick into custody. They don't, I guess, they're not like, "Yeah, what's that thumping? Like, what's that banging noise or whatever?" Yeah, it's a waste.
It's a nuclear waste does that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So, chapter 3 starts, and this is where we get a little mice and many here. So, Hulk found a bunny, and he's like, "Friend." And then he's like, "You're gray like
Hulk.
Gray like Hulk." And then he's like petting the rabbit's head. He's like, "Soft, not like Hulk." And he's like, "Stay friend." And you see, and this was kind of like messed up.
Oh my god!
You see his finger touching the rabbit's head, and then you see the finger kind of touching the rabbit's head harder, and then he pulls his finger up and it's bloody, and it's like
he's like wet.
He's like wet, and then he's like, "Friend," and he looks at the rabbit, and the rabbit's not moving anymore, and basically he killed the rabbit, and then Hulk's like, "Hulk alone again. Rasse Hulk and monster." Like he's angry because he killed something on accident, and he's mad because he doesn't want to be a monster. He didn't mean to kill the rabbit. God damn it! And so but I felt bad for that rabbit. That rabbit was just like, "Fuck my life."
Where are the rabbits, Ross?
Yeah, exactly. And Ross is like, "I'll tell you where they are. Turn around."
Damn it, these bullets don't work.
Yeah, exactly. Turn around. So Hulk has a little tantrum. He ends up falling off the ledge because he smashes the ledge. And in the meantime, like I said, Rick got picked up by the military. I don't know if he walked. Maybe that's what he did. He just left. He didn't get picked up in the cave, but he's left, and they found him because he's walking through literally a field right outside of where they keep nuclear waste. So it's like, hey.
So of course, there's probably some military around.
Or at least triggers or, something to say, hey, someone's here. So, he gets picked up, and then Ross questions him. And he's like, "Where's Banner? Where's the monster?" And he's like, "Look, I can't tell you anything. I don't know anything about a monster." And he calls him Captain, which I thought that's why I don't think he's in the military. He never dresses in uniform or anything.
Yeah.
The kid, Rick.
Oh, maybe not.
He looks just like a greaser or something, or like, a 50s kid. What are they called?
A greaser, a soch, or beat. Yeah, maybe
there you go. A soch, there you go. He's golden, all right? We'll call him Pony Boy from now on. But he's basically like, "Hey, Captain." He's like, and Ross gets super offended. I thought this was funny. He's like, "What you call me? Like,
you see these stars?
You see these fucking stars? Those stars aren't captains, motherfucker. That's a general." And so he gets all pissed off. And I thought that was funny that he's like teasing him about that. And then like I said, Rick's like, "I never heard of any Hulk." And then General Ross is like, "What? Why do you care about the Hulk? He just as soon kill you." And then Rick dumbly, I don't know, he's a fucking idiot, is like, "You've got it so wrong. It isn't even funny. The Hulk doesn't want to kill anybody. He just wants to be left alone." And then Ross is like, "Never heard of him, huh? Never heard of the Hulk, did you? Huh? It sounds like we're going to be here for a couple more hours. Can I get you a coffee or a cigarette or a soda pop?" So I thought that was funny. And then Rick's like, "Go to hell." It was like a good moment. But like I said, Betty apparently gets out of her Thorazine coma and just starts walking around the base again, like, "Hey, what's over here?" And this was something I didn't pick up on. I didn't realize there's another person in the room as they're exiting, and besides Betty, who walks in too, and it's Howard Stark's. Is it Howard Stark or yeah? It's actually Howard Stark.
Oh no,
it's not his dad.
No, it's Tony, isn't it? I guess then.
I'm sorry, Tony Stark.
Yeah, Tony Stark. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, Tony Stark. That's what I was saying. It's not Howard Stark. It's Tony Stark because I get confused sometimes because of the MCU.
Yeah,
and also modern Marvel. It's like Tony was in the fucking 60s and also nowadays, so it's kind of hard. This is the same age Tony.
Yeah,
so
there's some continuity that we can get mixed up.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is this his dad? No, it's not his dad because that's when he was actually created, was in the 60s. So, but anyway, this guy who we don't know is like, I'll help him. I'll get the Hulk. And he's like, no, I don't want your help. Get out of here. We don't need you, this private business person. We're not saying your name right now. But yeah, we don't know who he is. But Ross is basically like, get the fuck out of here. And then he's like, and then Betty comes in and is like, what's going on? And Ross is like, that's classified. How'd you even get in this building? Like you have no clearance on anything. But she's like, did you find Banner? Is there any word on Bruce? And then we come back to Hulk, who's still freaking out. He's still having his, tantrum where he's just jumping all over, tearing shit up. Then he finds Rick left his jacket when he or I don't know if Rick left his jacket, but Rick's jacket fell off when he was arrested by the MPs, the military police. And Hulk sees it and is like,
Rick.
Yeah, army truck. He sees like the truck, tire tracks, and he's like, army bad. So then he takes Rick's jacket. He's like, I got to deliver this back to Rick. What if he's cold? And so, anyway, so right away they go back. We cut to the interrogation room, and the general is fucking. He's being hostile to the witness. He's hitting him. He's like punching him in the face. He's trying to get as much information out of him.
You're right. And I missed, this is where because we're, again, through all of this, you get every once in a while Leonard and Bruce having micro conversation or micro stuff.
Oh yeah, we should say that. Yeah. Yeah, always in the middle of all these pages, the current day, which is the future, where they're talking in the room together, the therapist and him. They're having conversations about what's going on secretly under the stuff.
They might make a joke or might make maybe it means this, or like, he might like have him clarify something. Like in here in particular, and this is one I missed. He was like, he hit Rick, a civilian, a minor. And yeah, he's like try not to act surprised. Like, I told you Ross is a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and
he's like, it's the government. Yeah. They don't give a fuck about it. So, yeah, and but Betty cares, and she runs in and is like, Daddy, that's enough. And he's like, Betty, how did you get in here?
Again, how did you get in here?
How do you have a key to the fucking interrogation room? And so, somehow she runs in, but then Hulk, he must have heard it too. And I like this. Hulk's face looks fucking terrifying in this picture, in this panel. He's just like, Hulk smash, and he bursts through the door, and then Rick's like, dude, nice entrance. But Betty's like scared, and he's like, oh my. And in that entrance, he had hurt Ross. Ross got like hit by a rock or whatever in the head, and she's like, don't hurt my dad or whatever, go hurt someone else. And Rick's like, all right, let's get out of here, big guy, you got what you want. And he's like, Betty? Like, Hulk just wants Betty, and she's like, stop saying my name, you don't know me, I don't know who you are, and so they're like freaking out, but yeah, so he takes Betty instead of Rick, which I thought was funny. He's like, Betty, oh fuck you, Rick, I'll take Betty. So he takes Betty, and this was funny, I thought. Tony, with his briefcase, breaks through the glass because like the walls shattered, rocks everywhere, and you can't really get through the door. And he goes to help General Ross up, but he's like, hey, General Ross, I see we have a common problem, credibility. The Army brass doesn't think you can catch him, and you don't think I can. So how about you give me a shot, and, we'll see what happens. And up until this time, we don't know that this is Tony Stark. So we just see a dude in a business suit. So I was like, who's this guy? And then when he shows up in his Iron Man suit, I was like, oh, yeah, this is fucking awesome. This is like old. This is like every Hulk storyline needs to have him fighting Tony Stark in like some way.
Yeah.
Or Thor or whatever. But like, this is like classic, Hulk smash the iron suit or whatever, the robot or whatever. So Betty has passed out wherever they landed, which happens to be by water. I don't know. And there's so many like why is there water near this dumping site? You know what I mean?
I'm sure this is clean water.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Here, drink some, Betty.
Yeah. I'm sure it doesn't come from the geyser that's underneath the mountain with the toxic waste.
The toxic waste is leaching into it.
Yeah. So, so he's giving her water, or at least splashing it on her face. And he's like, Betty, and she's like, Bruce. And then he's like, Betty, make noise. And then all of a sudden, some laser beam hits the back of him, and you hear this jackass say, I don't think the lady wants your company. And basically, Tony Stark is in his Iron Man suit, and it's the classic.
It's like golden Iron Man costume.
The golden
it's really
Iron Man
cool.
one. It's just like, it looks like the one from the movie if it was gold. The one from the first movie.
Yeah.
When he builds it in the or is it? I don't know where it is.
In the Middle East.
In the Middle Eastern prison camp.
Yeah. So they changed. So like when Iron Man first came that suit, it was gold. Then it became a silver suit later. That first suit of him being the very kind of clunky suit.
Yeah. So it's the clunky one, but it's the gold version.
But it's the gold, and it looks really cool here.
Yeah, it looks good. I like it too. But Hulk, he's like hurt Hulk. Hulk mad. Madder Hulk gets stronger. And then but Tony's just sitting there like, I think you should let the girl go or whatever. He's such like a douchebag in this one, I thought. Just like he just comes out of nowhere and is just like, I'll defeat you. And then that's the end of this issue. We start issue 4 with this fight about to happen with a great opening page of the Hulk's reflection while he's screaming at Tony Stark in the helmet of Iron Man.
That's
very,
such a
very
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, Hulk's like, robot? Because he doesn't know. He's like, what? And he's like, I'm not a robot. I'm a person inside of here. I'm the invincible Iron Man. Yeah, that's how I read it, at least. I don't know if it...
Oh, yeah. No, very, very ho-ho.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, he's like, I feel like he's like one of those witty, pirate, guys who fight a pirate.
He comes off as Zorro-esque to me.
Yeah, there you go, like something like that, swashbuckling, whatever. Yeah. So, but he shoots Hulk with like a power blast again, and then Hulk lands, leaves a big Hulk impression in the ground, and gets right back up, and it's just like, robot, like he just hates robots, and at this time, I guess he was out long enough or farther enough away that Iron Man reaches Betty, and she's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm a friend. Your father sent me. And then I like there's just a hand reaches out from behind him, and it's Hulk's hand, and it grabs his face, and he says, robot, and then punches the shit out of him. It was great.
Through this fight, too, is like my favorite thread between Leonard and Bruce telling this story, because Leonard's like, wait a minute, Iron Man never met the Hulk when he was gray. Like, all the records talk about they first met when they joined the Avengers and stuff, and he's like, who's telling this story? And Leonard's like, but I've read all of that, and he's like, you telling me there was a cover-up between the government and Tony Stark? And Bruce is like, oh, yeah, you think that's really hard to believe? Let me finish the story, all right?
Yeah. Basically, this is all... Yeah, of course there's a cover-up by the government and Tony Stark.
Of course!
Also, Tony Stark wouldn't want to say he lost.
Exactly.
Yeah, I fucked
he got
up.
the shit kicked out of him by the Hulk the first time they met.
So he literally beats the shit out of Iron Man. In the meantime, he's like, Betty's safe now. And she's like, what are you talking about? He was going to save me from you. What do you want? And but Tony Stark won't go away. He's flying. He grabs Hulk, and he's got to, this was in the movie too. Like, oh, can you breathe? How high can you go, Hulk? And Hulk's like, cool try, but check this out. And he just like punches his hand and like smashes his hand armor or whatever.
Yeah.
Which honestly, you just rip his fucking.
I was gonna say, I would think that it would just like completely rip off Tony Stark's hand. But.
Yeah, and so he does that, and Hulk falls all the way to the ground. And luckily, well, it doesn't matter for him, but lands in water, and he ends up being able to get Iron Man, as Iron Man's like, how did you survive that? And he smashes the fuck out of him, just literally beats the fuck out of this robot, doesn't stop until he stops moving, and then as he's like punching Tony Stark, Betty's like, stop it, there's a man in there, because he thinks, once again, Hulk is like robot.
Yeah,
I don't
crush
understand.
robot.
Yeah, I don't understand. There's a person inside this metal canister, and he accidentally hits Betty as she's like trying to stop him. And so, I mean, I honestly, a Hulk punch on accident to the face, you're like, fucking.
I thought this is how Betty died at first.
He punches her. Yeah, I did too. I didn't know where they were going to go with this. I didn't know how much they were going to like change or whatever. Yeah. So he punches her and she flies, hits her head on a rock. So she got like 2 concussions basically. She got a rock punch and a Hulk punch to the head.
Yeah, and then the next panel, it shows her with blood all over her face laying on the ground and Hulk being like, oh, Betty? Yeah. I really thought, like, I was like, oh shit, are they going to kill Betty like this?
Yeah, and then he like picks her up and he sees there's red stuff, just like the rabbit.
Just like the rabbit.
Why we had to see the rabbit, I guess, because he had to know what blood was. He goes, what? And he like realizes what it was, what happened, and he grabs her and he's like, Betty! And then he's like, Hulk fixed Betty, and he runs away. And the best thing is just like, Tony's just there. He's like on his back, can't move. He's stuck. His hands are crushed and shit. And he's just like, we found him, sir. Like the military rides up, and as the battle's over already, and they're like, well, I guess you didn't fucking do it either, did you, Stark? So I thought that was funny. That like he just beats the shit out of Iron Man, and. Good fight scene, though. It's really good for that.
Yeah.
That issue goes by real fast because it's pretty much just one big fight after he, hurts the rabbit or whatever. So,
yeah.
But then so Hulk, I guess his thinking, just goes to get a first aid kit and takes it out of a gas station and then brings it back to where he's held. He kept Betty in like a little shelter. It's pouring rain too, so. It's like good that at least he realized, hey, she needs to be covered or whatever. But he puts her under like a rock in this like I guess cavernous area or whatever, and he gets the first aid. He's like shoves it out, like just puts everything he has from the first aid kit like on the wound, like tape. It looks like a 4-year-old putting like trying to cover up a wound or whatever. And he's like, Hulk, sorry, and like this was the part I thought had the most like. Funny faces or whatever for Hulk because he's trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And you don't see Hulk trying to be nice very often. But as she wakes up, she's like, where? And she just wakes up to Hulk be like, like big smile.
Like Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, like Harry and the Hendersons face for sure. That's exactly what this is. And then Hulk's like, Hulk, help. Hulk got supplies or whatever. And she's like, none of these are what I need for what I have, basically, other than what you've already shoved on my face. And she tries to explain to him, like, look, I don't need what you did, basically. I got to make this look normal. So she takes all this tape and everything off her face, which that would hurt, removing all that tape from your hair and shit.
Yeah.
But she takes the supplies, and then this was funny. They get to bond a little bit where she's at first mad and then kind of sees he's, like, infantile, I guess, or whatever, or, like, simple. And so she's like, do you at least have a mirror? And he's like, here. And he just like holds the mirror up that was on the first aid kit. And she's like, well, at least you're not a complete idiot. And then, it's like they're bonding, but she of course thinks he's a monster at this point. So, and then she's like, I'm cold. And then Hulk's like lightning hits and he gets mad. Then he runs away and he's like, nothing can hurt Hulk. And then he goes to get where the lightning hit. There's like a tree, I guess it must have struck. And he gets a bunch of wood and starts a fire for her. But yeah, like basically they just kind of connect on like a human level, I guess, or like a basic level. But she wants to leave. She's like, she thinks this monster's kidnapped me, much like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, I want to leave. Let me go. And he's like, Betty.
Stay.
Yeah, Betty, stay. I love Betty. And she's like crying because of it. And he's like, stay. And she's like, please let me go. And it's just like, wow, Hulk, he's like, I don't want to hurt anybody, but I don't want to hurt Betty, but I'm hurting her because she's crying. And he's like confused, like, what's going on? He's like, no one hurt Betty. Hulk smashed them. And she's like, but I'm not happy here. I'm scared and alone. And so they're just trying to connect or whatever. And he's like, Hulk, protect Betty. And she's like, no, I need protection from you. Like, you're the thing I would need protection from. And then all of a sudden, as like that kind of moment comes out, because there's like a moment where like they're like touch, like she's like he's touching her face, like Hulk protect Betty.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, maybe he's not terrible or whatever, and then like right when that happens, helicopter spotlight, like, you know, like,
and fucking General Ross
put the girl down or whatever. It's like just like General Ross shows up in a helicopter that does not look like it's from the 60s at all.
No, again, this looks like an Apache helicopter.
Straight Apache helicopter. I was like, wow. They just literally were like, what's a helicopter look like? They're like, I don't know, Rambo 3, go find that helicopter. so, this does not look like a helicopter from the 60s, but I thought it was cool, though. So it looks cool. Maybe, this is an experimental base. They're already working on this shit, all right? They don't.
If they have if there's an Iron Man suit, I'm sure they have a helicopter.
Sure, why not? So Hulk is like, forgets about Betty. Ross is his motivation. He goes to destroy Ross and fight him. So he takes down the helicopter, tears it apart. Ross and him are fighting, and like they're both basically Ross. He's not strong enough, but he's there. He's like, I don't give a fuck if I die. I'm gonna yell at you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna yell the shit out of you. Like he's just like, go to hell. Like
Hulk just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna fucking hunt you down. You're not gonna be left alone.
Yeah. It's just like, I will never let you go, and like you're a monster and everything. And he's like, it would be worth it to die out here with my blood on your hands. Then everyone would see you're the monster, and you wouldn't be able to live anywhere. You'd never be left alone. And then Hulk is like, Hulk, not a monster. And so like they have this big epic thing, and then Hulk has him in his hands. The helicopter's crashed, and there's all these snipers, I guess, around.
And he's biting Hulk. He's like, do it, punch me, like kill me.
Yeah. He's really trying to get him to do it. And I guess they're yelling out, we have him in our sights, sir. What should we do? And the general's like, shoot him. Shoot her.
Shoot her.
He's like, shoot him. Just fucking go for it. And but Betty's like, no, hold your fire. And I thought this was funny because this would never fucking happen.
Never
happen in a million years. But Betty says, oh, no, hold your fire. And then Ross is like, no, shoot him. That's a direct order. Shoot him.
Yeah.
And no one does. Everybody holds their fire because of Betty. And, she asks, like, put my father down. And then the dad is fucking pissed at Betty. He's like, how dare you?
This is a military operation.
Yeah, you are not a general or whatever. Like, how dare you? And then he's like, I don't understand. I gave the men a direct order, and you're listening to some prattling child. It's like, God damn. She's like a 20. Well, I don't know how old she is. She looks like she's 25 or something in this.
But I mean, that would make sense for him to say that either way.
It would, for him, yes. But it just being like, all right, bro. Like,
just a little more child, but okay.
Now we know what you're thinking of your daughter for real. Jesus, So like, yeah, but he's just like hell bent on the monster, and he tries to like convince Betty to kill him by saying like, he probably killed Banner, huh? Like, what if he killed Banner? And then Hulk's like, Hulk hate Banner. I'm like, no, Hulk. Don't say that. You're only hurting your case. But he goes, but Hulk hate Ross more. And so he really wants to hurt Ross, but he's like, shut up, Ross. And then Betty's like, please. And so because Hulk can't say no to him, Hulk, his weakness is Betty right now. She's like, Hulk, he's my father. With all his flaws, I love him, and I always will. And that's why you can't kill him. And then Hulk's like gaze softens, and he's like, Hulk not understand. Hulk not monster. Hulk not hurt Betty. Ross always hurt Betty. And so that's where you get like a little thing like, this was something Banner thought. Like, this is something Banner saw. It wasn't like, I mean, he never saw Ross hurt Betty while he was the Hulk. So this is all like stuff that he's got from the underlying feelings of what Banner thinks about Ross. I'm sure, she told Banner all kinds of stuff about her shitty dad. So he's like, the inner feelings is the reason why he hates Ross right away wasn't because he was the military or whatever, or because he was trying to find him. It was because, he cares for Betty so much as Banner. And, so then Hulk just jumps away like, all right, I leave now.
And I like this is the one part where again Leonard and Bruce are talking, and Leonard Bruce is like, yeah, I just don't know what it is, but the Ross is always going to be who he is, and that's never going to change, and like it's just kind of eternally at odds. And the Leonard makes the comparison. He's like, oh, Ross Hulk is Hulk, and he's like, what are you trying to say? He's like, oh, nothing. No, just keep telling me your story.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
And then and so then we cut to I guess a couple days later. And Bruce Banner, who's now Bruce Banner, starts walking up with Rick, who now he's finally in, I guess, military garb. I don't know.
He looks like he's got military clothes on, but he was. They said he was a civilian earlier, at least.
Yeah, so whatever. So either way, maybe he's just trying to sneak on or something, maybe. look fit the part. But basically, Banner walks in and is like, "Oh yeah, I'm alive. I'm not dead." And Betty's like, "Oh my god!" And they're like, "We thought the Hulk killed you," and he's like, I must have got lost in the desert, but Rick found me, and, I'm back. And so this is basically like, he's like, Banner says, I'm sorry. And then Ross is like, sorry, you weak, cowardly milksop. And like, basically just starts going off about like basically how much he hates Banner.
Oh, yeah. And Banner's eyes get that little green tinge to it.
Little green in there. But Betty's like, stop it, Daddy. You're as horrible as the Hulk. And which Leonard was like, ouch, like the hair, and so then we cut back. That's like the end of the past.
He's like, maybe we should stop now, Bruce. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, and there was a lot going on there. So like you see his eyes are like green as he's looking at a picture of Betty, and he's like, damn it, Leonard, I've known this all along. It was just too much of a coward to admit it. Me and Ross, what's the difference? What's the difference between me and Ross? Like, basically, we are the same because...
Yeah, and he makes the connection. Like, that's kind of why Betty stayed with me all these years, is like, I reminded her of
her dad.
Her dad.
Yeah.
And that, like, he is just like, cannot believe I just made that connection.
Yeah.
I am horrible.
Yeah, and so he starts to Hulk out, and at least his eyes turn green, and then Leonard's like, Bruce, calm down. Calm down, Bruce. And then all of a sudden he's like, calm down. The whole world wants me to calm down. And then all of a sudden he turns into a green Hulk, and he's like, no more talk. And then he just jumps out of the building and says, Hulk smash. And then Leonard's like, Bruce, I'm sorry. And then, basically we get that the whole time, like his main problem is that, he is too much like Ross, and that he hates Ross, so he hates himself. Yep. That's why Hulk hates Banner and Ross. And, the Hulk just loves Betty. He pulls out a picture of Betty,
but this
crying.
But this is where we learn, at least because it has to be in the future, because it says she's gone now.
Yeah.
We don't know if she's dead or just that they're separated, but like they're not together anymore. He doesn't see her.
It's pretty much she's dead.
I assumed she was dead.
But it says, there are so many other stories of what happened afterwards, but they will now always be colored by the knowledge that she loved me for all the wrong reasons. And then Hulk's like crying. Hulk is crying. The last panel, Hulk is crying and saying, Betty, and looking at a picture of her. So that great ending. I loved the way this ended, where it was like, I didn't know where it was going to go. Like, I didn't know they were going to have... I thought, they're just going to retell,
I thought it would be beat for beat, but it wasn't at all. No,
But also, like, it makes sense because they have the whole therapy session that something emotional is going to happen at the end. Some breakthrough or some, emotional beat is going to be revealed at the end. So, that is the end of the comic. John, what did you think? What would you give it?
I absolutely loved it. This might be my favorite of their pairing so far, honestly. Like, I really enjoyed this one as far as this is the best. This is my favorite version of like look of the Hulk. Yeah, I can't. It still feels so weird saying that, but I just know I just love the way Tim Sale drew it. I loved the use of the black and white color, specifically with that green tinge for the Hulk, and then like the middle. All the middle was colored. I don't know if we said that specifically.
It turns color once they go back into the past.
Yeah, so like everything is colored, and then the Hulk is just gray Hulk through all of that. But that it was really cool, and I like the duality of Hulk and Banner, and like Banner talking over like I say, explaining things, but like them still getting like little bits of like you said, like where he's like Hulk has basically just been in Banner this whole time, and this is like Banner's like deep down dark stuff coming to the surface finally.
Yeah.
In just a physical form.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I liked it. I love the Frankenstein of mice and men kind of stuff that was in this, because this is more like early simple Hulk. He hasn't like learned. He's not as
well. There's
early
like
Hulk.
literally like genius Hulk.
Yeah.
Too. So later on, and he's even gray then. Like in the 90s, he was like gray for a bit. But he was smart. It was like mob boss Hulk. Yeah.
But I loved it. I think that, like I said, I think this is my favorite of their work together so far. I'm excited that we're gonna hit all of these.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 9. A
9, wow.
Yeah, this one's a 9 for me. This is
almost 9
perfect.
from John Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this one. First off, I liked it a lot. I just didn't. To me, it didn't. The story didn't hit me as hard as some of the other ones that we've read. Even the X-Men one, the Gambit Wolverine, one that we read. I liked that story just because it was so 90s and everything, and it really hit me like, I'm a kid again or whatever. This one just felt like, cool. They're telling a solid story. It's very solid, but it wasn't like amazing or whatever to me.
I don't know if you know this about me. We talk as much as I like vampire stories. Frankenstein's monster is my favorite of the classic monsters.
That makes sense then.
So I like that. I like that
feeling
of this though.
Yeah, but to me, it just it didn't hit as close to home or whatever for all the things I want to like really hit me emotionally. Only the end hit me emotionally, where it was like, Betty, and he's crying. I was like, oh, Hulk, So I did like it a lot, and the art is fucking beautiful. So like, this to me, I gotta give this one a solid 8. It was like, I think like I'm too used to like Long Halloween for them or something where there's like this epic storyline that's like, you don't know what's gonna happen, and then this happens, and it's like, but did it? And then what else? So like Long Halloween and Dark Victory and all those, they have so many twists and turns, and it's like a complex story. And this was just like the simplest, and maybe because it is Hulk, they did that, because it's like Hulk simple
Hulk, simple story,
exactly. And if that's true, good on them. It really fits the Hulk, but like, it just didn't like have that gravitas or whatever that I would give like a 9 or a 10 or something.
It didn't have a purple Catwoman suit.
It did not have it did not have a very muscular purple Catwoman, which I was very happy about. But so it did have hulking out pretty good though. So.
Yeah.
Also, I thought a lot of the Tim Sale art when he's in the cavern with her, or the overhang when he's trying to keep her warm in the rain. That whole sequence was very like Looney Tunes looking. Some of this, like his facial expression, which wasn't bad. It was just like his postures and stuff was very like cartoony Looney Tunes looking, which I liked it though. I thought that was good because you never see Hulk in any kind of I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No,
you go.
Just specifically the first panel where Hulk's gotten out and he's holding the bunny.
Yes, he looks like Bugs. He looked like Bugs to me in that situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly. There's that cartoon where I think it's Frankenstein or Goss. Or no, it's not Frankenstein. It's the Abominable Snowman.
Yes.
And he's got the really low brow, and he's holding him like, "Hey, George."
Yes.
It looked just like that. You're right. I didn't.
I caught it. I think he did it on purpose because I was like, it looks. I mean, if only he smashed Bugs Bunny's head.
I want to see that version of Looney Tunes.
Also, I mean, they could have done that. Oh no, they couldn't have because this is not. I was thinking DC, but it's not DC. It's Marvel. Oh, yeah. So yeah, they can't use Bugs Bunny. So, but yeah, it had enough. Like I think he was like referencing some of that stuff,
probably
for the postures and whatnot, because it just felt like that. So, but I like that a lot because with the Hulk, you never get. It's always angry Hulk, and there's not really at least nowadays, you're never really sad Hulk. And while angry Hulk's great, this was just like a different feel from.
Yeah, like even in World War Hulk, where we got a little bit of him, like obviously
he's emotional, but he's not. Yes, but he's not.
But he's not sad.
He's like a Conan or something. He's just like a strong warrior. He's not like sad.
Yeah.
Which is like in this he's sad.
Well, yeah, and he's much more developed Hulk in that.
Yes, exactly. Too, so, but that's why I give it an 8. It didn't hit the like that extra mile for me as far as the story or whatever. But I thought the story fit the book really well. So maybe I'm wrong for thinking it needs it, or it could have had something. Maybe they could have figured out a little bit more twisty turny story for it. But yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. John, what are we reading next week?
Next week, since we are having the release of, I think almost everybody's most anticipated film of the year. We got Spider-Man No Way Home. Like even Matt, who's not the biggest Spider-Man fan,
I want to see it.
He's ready for this Spider-Man.
Once I saw Alfred Molina, I was like, "Fuck yes, I am into this movie."
Yeah, well, I mean, Spider-Man 2 is still one of the best comic book films ever made.
It is the best Spider-Man movie, but yeah,
I think best Spider-Man, but definitely one of the best comic book movies still.
Oh yeah, even with the old CG and everything.
Yeah, there's so much the non-CG stuff in that is amazing.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I thought I pitched Matt. I was like, no, you're not a big Spider-Man, but I remember as a kid really loving some of the Sinister Six stuff. I don't remember it as much. The most Spider-Man I really still remember is like that 90s cartoon. So I was like, let's do a Sinister Six story since this kind of feels like it. We know there's a lot of villains in it. We don't know the story.
I don't know if this is an actual story of the Sinister Six. I think it's introducing each of the Sinister Six, like their own individual issues.
Yeah.
I think. So what we got is a trade that says Sinister Six on it, and then it says it's by Ditko and Lee and other people. So I'm like, I wonder if it's just like, here's the Vulture, here's Electro, here's their individual issues. If that's the case, that's fine too. We get the introduction and we can introduce everybody to them. Or if there's a story after they get introduced, we'll find out. But we're not sure because we haven't read it yet. So we'll find out next week. So,
but yeah, we're figured let's do Spider-Man since we got Spider-Man coming out. We'll do a little tie-in. Everybody's gonna be on Spider-Man high, so another Spider-Man story sounds good, right?
Exactly. So, if you guys would like to support us, just so you guys know, I have a Matt's Minis that's only in our support page. So if you want to listen to Matt's Minis Hellblazer, which I'm doing. I'm going to read all 300 of them, goddammit. I'm going to read all of them. And even some of the extras, because there's a bunch of little mini-series and stuff that were not in the run. But if you look at the trade paperbacks, they included them in continuity.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read what the trade paperbacks have in continuity. So there's a little series called The Horrorist that starts at issue 12 of that. So
is that Halloween when we did? Part of
yes, that one is in. That was issue 245.
Okay, that's much later.
That's actually in the series.
Okay,
yeah. But there's that, and then there's Lady Constantine, which is a Neil Gaiman character that he wrote. There's some other people and other miniseries that happen that I'm gonna try to weave in continuity if I can.
I look forward to listening to those too because you definitely turned me on to Constantine. I'm a Constantine fan.
Yeah, well, we've already read the first trade, which has the first 9. So I mean, it's gonna be 9 weeks before we get past that. But hey, it's a good refresher. I had fun reading the first issue again. I love fucking Constantine. It's great. No, I love Constantine. It's fucking great. That's what I meant to say. But I guess he wouldn't mind because he's bisexual. So whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in that, you can support us at Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/planes, trains, and comic books, all one word.
Mm-hmm. We got a couple tiers now, and this specifically this here is still $3 a month.
Yeah.
And it's going to be all inclusive for Constantine's Matt's Minis. So
yes. And I think it gives you access to not only everyone we've done so far and the YouTube version of them, which are going to be also hidden or whatever. So you can only get it if you get the link from the blog posts I do every week for them. You can also give us a recommendation for a comic you want us to read that we will take.
Yes.
It won't necessarily be the week after you give it, but we will definitely put it in our rotation to be done soon. So if you've been like, Matt and John, why the fuck haven't you read this book? Then you get to tell us what to read.
Yeah, you tell us what to read. We'll read it, and then obviously we'll give a shout out to all the people that are going to be donating. So we really appreciate you guys listening in. And if you would like to support us, you feel so inclined, please do. Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/planes, trains, and comic books. All of these links, of course, are a part of our link tree. Those are on all of our things: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, for all of our main exclusives.
Yes.
But now we have extra exclusives for those who want to subscribe.
The extra, the premium exclusives.
Yeah, these are the VIPs.
The VIP. So if you guys feel inclined, please support us, and we will see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.